welcome everybody to this session 1 of 3. And this is a set of sessions I wanted to put together for newer users of EdgeRater. Or if you've been using EdgeRater for a while, you and have had a bit of a lapse and come back, then you might need a little refresher. So this is going to be quite, let's say, fundamental and potentially quite basic for some people. So just a little warning, I'm going to go right back to basics of how to get everything set up in this session anyway. And this session is going to be basically setting up symbol lists and data providers, running simple templates, viewing charts and how to configure charts, and sorting and filtering reports, and adding stocks to a favorites list. So then session 2 will be a week today, and that will be diving into more details of templates. And then session 3, 2 weeks today, so Saturday in 2 weeks' time, running trade simulations to backtest your own trade ideas. So that one will be a little bit more involved, but quite sort of basic simulations. We'll talk about the basics of doing backtesting. Now, somebody is saying they can't hear me. If anyone else can hear me, just let me know. If anyone else can hear me, that means the sound is okay, and that there's an issue with Venkatesan's microphone. Okay, thank you. So sound is good. Let me just type a quick message in here. Sound is good. Check your settings. Okay, and then we'll get going. So first off, this is a disclaimer. This is for educational purposes only. I'm not recommending any securities, and everyone is responsible for their own trading decisions and actions. Where to find more information? So in EdgeRater, let me just bring up a screen over here. Hang on 1 second. Okay. So you can find more information on edgerater.com. So let me just bring that up. If you're not familiar with where to find more information about running templates or getting more information about what's coming up in the program in terms of webinars, then you can go to the web page here, edgerater.com, and I do recommend signing up for the mailing list, because most of the sessions that are done are first pushed out to the mailing list. And you can always unsubscribe whenever you get an email on the mailing list. You can always click the unsubscribe button. But in that case, then you won't get any more emails, obviously. So another option here, or a good option, is to come into the support page and click on the videos, view the videos, subscribe to the YouTube channel on EdgeRater. So you'll click through to the EdgeRater YouTube channel, and make sure you are a subscriber here, and also turn on notifications. And once you do that, anytime a new video is posted on any subject, you will be notified by YouTube of the video. So that's a very good thing to do. And currently, you can see there's 1,000 subscribers. We just clicked over the 1,000 mark last week. So, so that's good and encouraging. So click on that. That's a good source of information. Okay, where else can you get more information? On the page I showed before. Don't worry about this webinar schedule. That's an old series of webinars, so you can go through there and take a look at some of those. They're still valid and good information, but there are some other things on here that you can do. So you can click on the Contact Us button, which will allow you to send a message through to EdgeRater, and we'll answer that as soon as possible. You can also ask the forum, and if you click on the forum, you'll come to the EdgeRater forum, And if you're not a member of the forum, this is a separate, completely separate login. You should register to be a member of the forum, and then you can post in the forum, and then anybody can answer those questions. And then there is some online documentation. Now, admittedly, this is original documentation and hasn't been updated. Most of the updated information is in videos on the YouTube channel, but this will definitely give you a way to find some basic information. Okay, so having said that, let's jump in. Okay, so the first thing I wanted to say is when you first run the program, and some people get confused with this, but when you first run the program, you potentially will see one of these screens, a subscriber login screen or a screen like this, or potentially you won't see anything. If you're a monthly subscriber to the EdgeRater program, i.e. you don't have the lifetime license, or if you are a trial user, then you can use this screen to log in, subscriber login. You type in your username and password and click OK, and you'll run the program. If you have a lifetime license and you will have a serial key, which would have been sent to you when you purchased the lifetime license, then if you happen to see this subscriber login screen, don't log in through there. Click on the cancel button there instead, and you'll come to this screen here, which will allow you to enter that serial key. And then once you've entered the serial key, every time you run the program, you'll bypass these screens completely and go right into the software. So I wanted to mention that sometimes trips people up at the very beginning. And what I'm going to do here is I'm just going to run the program, and for the purposes of this demonstration, I believe I will have to log in here. So let me just do that. There we go. Okay. So the first thing I want to talk about is data. Where do you get data from? What are symbol lists and all that good stuff? So there's different places, different data providers for the program. And if you click on the home, and I'll expand this up a bit so you can, I don't know if it helps if I make this a little larger. Okay, so in the home area, you can find data providers tab, a button. Okay, if you click on data providers, then you'll see all of the possible data providers for the currently available for the program. EdgeRater is the default provider. And if you subscribe to EdgeRater Premium Data, then you can have that checked. It will tell you the status of your premium data subscription and allow you to do a few things here, which you don't need to do all the time. You can use these buttons if you end up in some trouble with data and you need to re-download things. You can use this as an option. There are other data providers in here. So if you have your own subscription to NASDAQ Premium Data, then you can use this as your data provider. There's Metastock. So Metastock have files, Metastock file formats. So if you subscribe to anything that exports data in Metastock file formats, you can use this as your data provider. ASCII files is another option. HDSI is a software program, high growth stock investor. And if you subscribe to HDSI, you'll have a full database of stock history, stock prices on your desktop machine. And then you can enable the HDSI as your data provider, and that information will come from HDSI. And I do actually have HDSI, and I think a lot of people do have high growth stock investor. So I often leave this set as my default. And there's a reason for that. If you have HDSI, I won't go into it right now, but if you have HDSI, I would recommend checking that as your default. And the other data provider is Yahoo. So it's possible to get historical data, price data from Yahoo. So this is the way that the data providers are configured. So it's just a list of providers and any configuration options you can set in this screen. For EdgeRater, you don't have any configuration options. You just click on the default, say yes, EdgeRater, For HGSI, it's the same. So that's okay. If you are using ASCII files, though, you'll have to put in some configuration information, for instance, the folder that your ASCII files are stored in, and that type of thing. But it's not so many people are using those other options. So normally it's either EdgeRater or HGSI. Okay. Right. So that's the configuration of providers. But then there's the idea of symbol lists. And symbol lists always appear on the left-hand side of the screen under this symbol lists heading. And then there will be a drop-down which will contain all of the lists that you have on your file system. And by default, you will have some lists that have square brackets around them. So, all USA, CBOE weeklies, Dow Industrials. So you'll notice they have an opening square bracket and a closing square bracket. Now these lists with the square brackets are lists that are curated by EdgeRater, and they work with the EdgeRater data provider. So any list that you create yourself should not have square brackets around them, and they can be other lists, like anything you want to put in there. And once you've got your own list in there, you can basically press the button here to open up the edit list, and you can choose the data provider for that list. The idea is that the list is just a list of symbols, and the data provider is where it's going to fetch data from when you update the data. So in this case, this list is connected to HGSI, and it also has settings in this list for how much data is going to be retrieved when an end of day update is performed. So in this, I think by default, it's set for 2 years. But I do like to change that to 10 years in most cases, because that works a lot better with the seasonality templates, which require more data to give you more of a season, an idea of what happens year in and year out in stocks. So you can change that to 10. That's always a good idea. Or you can choose a specific date range. That's really only useful if you're doing back testing over a certain period of time. And then you can just ensure that the list is only ever going to have that information. You're guaranteed you're not going to be peeking into the future for any prices. But again, that's a specialized use. So it's a very useful dialog box, this one. If you ever get confused about how much data is on the system, whether data has been updated for today's date, you can pop open this dialog box. The first tab in here, the symbol list, will tell you all the symbols that are in that list. The second tab is the data snapshot, telling you how much data you currently have that has been downloaded from those data providers. It'll tell you the from and the to date. And then the options are, as I said before, whenever you press this button here, update data button, it's going to use these options to determine how much data to put in that list. So in the data snapshot tab in this list, you see it's only got data from March of 2020 to March of 2022, because this data update options was only fetching 2 years. Now I've changed it to 10. When I press this update data button, you see now it's got data from July of 2012 to July of 2022. So it's got 10 years of data. If I close this dialog box down now, those settings are saved. And then whenever I press this update end of day data button here, it's going to go out to that data provider that's configured for the list, and it's going to fetch however much data is configured for the list too. So it's always a good idea when you're looking at lists to just look at the to column to make sure you have data for the date that you are expecting. With the EdgeRater data provider, the end of day data is available approximately an hour after the market's closed. And what will happen in order to notify you that there is new data available is this area up here where it says premium data status. So if you have the EdgeRater premium data, then you'll see these traffic lights here change from green to red. So a green traffic light indicates that everything's up to date, nothing to do. A red light in any one of these cases means that there's data available on the server to be updated and downloaded to your PC. And you can just do that by pressing the Get Latest Data button. If I press it now, it's grayed out. It's not going to do anything because all data is up to date, it says. Okay. So when any of these are red, you can press the Get Latest Data button and it will fetch, it will do everything it needs to do in one step to update all the lists. And also at that time, it will update templates. It will update the options implied volatility data. And so that's the one thing that you would do on a daily basis. When you've run the program, you'll see the red traffic light, you press Get Latest Data, and everything should be then up to date. Okay, on the file system on your computer, I'm going to talk just a bit about where data is stored. So, so if we go to Documents and we go to go to your Documents folder, you'll find an EdgeRater subfolder in Documents. The subfolder is basically the EdgeRater subfolder under Documents is where everything is stored in the program. So you've got all of the symbol lists are stored in here. All of the configuration settings are stored in here. All of the templates are stored in here. So it's kind of the hard drive backing of the information that runs the program. So for example, symbol lists subfolder, has the lists that I showed over here. So the symbol list subfolder has the CBOE weeklies and all of the others that were in that dropdown. And they're text files essentially. So you can open these up in a text file editor, and you can see the format of a symbol list is really just the symbol and then a comma and then the name of the security. And that's all it is. That symbol list does not contain backing data. And backing data is stored under snapshots, and you'll find a corresponding file. So in this case, CBOE weeklies .txt.erd stands for EdgeRater data. That's the backing file that contains the historical data. So whenever you do press this button to do an end of day update, it's going to put the information on your file system in these data files, and these can then be used by the program. You'll find the templates in here too, and templates will be under System, and these are Excel files. You do not have to have Excel to use EdgeRater. EdgeRater can open Excel files and work with Excel files without you having Excel. But the templates are written in Excel. And if you want to design your own template, then you would need to have Microsoft Excel installed on your computer in order to do that. But yeah, that's the list of all the templates. And then another important folder here is reports. Every time you run a template in the program, it will automatically generate a report in the reports folder. And the report is also an XLSX file. That's an Microsoft Excel file, but you view it in EdgeRater. You can also open it up in Excel, but it's mainly viewable in EdgeRater. But the nice thing is that once you've run a report, you have this file which you can open up in Excel and do any other calculations you like using normal Excel spreadsheet calculations if you wish. And it's also a record of all of the templates that you've run in your session. These files are never deleted by the system. So after you've run EdgeRater for a while, several months, you might want to come in here and delete all these files because they are just cluttering. If you're not using them and you have no more need for them, they're just going to clutter up the file system. So it's nice to clear them out. Okay, so let's take an example then of, we've got data, data providers talked about. Are there any questions on data providers and data before I move on? And I should try and find, there we go. Okay, so I think there's no questions on Okay, Thinkorswim data. Right, that's a good question. Okay, so end of day data is what we're looking at here. There is, you'll notice there's another button next to the end of day update. So there's end of day button update there. The blue button here, which says update intraday data. If you have a connection to Thinkorswim, all that means is if you have Thinkorswim installed on your desktop, EdgeRater can fetch the latest price from the Thinkorswim desktop program, and it will put it, the latest price, it will put it on at the end of this historical data. So it won't update that file that I showed you, but internally in the program, it will just add that last price, and it will actually build the last bar, so the open, high, low, and current price from Thinkorswim. So it essentially adds the current bar, current daily bar to a list, which you can then use to run against templates. So yeah, Thinkorswim is the only way currently that end of day data, the intraday data is available. Okay. Gary, can you delete the Excel files in the EdgeRater reports folder? Yes, absolutely. You can, and I would recommend doing that. I think you saw me do that just a second ago, but let's see if yeah, so I just deleted those files from my reports folder. So yes, definitely can do that. Thinkorswim provides the options data. No, so the options data, the historical options data is it's an EdgeRater provided set of information. It comes from a server, and that is updated nightly along with the end of day stock price history. All right, so I think the next thing I was going to talk about, let me just check on, I want to get this in the correct order. 1 second. Okay, so yeah, so the next thing would be what do you do with the data? And sorry, there's another question. So if you're accumulating warehouse reports from HDSI, should we still delete reports? Okay, that's also a good question. The answer to that is you should delete the regular reports. Let me show you. So here's a folder, and regular reports are stored in this reports folder. If you are doing the HDSI action of generating a file from the warehouse file, then normally you'd put that in a separate archive, and you wouldn't delete those. You actually want to keep those because they're useful for going back in history and finding out which categories of stocks are working best. So, so don't delete those, and don't delete any reports that you actually want to keep. So I might recommend, if there are specific reports you want to hold on to actually just move them to a different folder, a different area of your hard drive, and that way that you can keep them around. So in terms of automatic update for symbol lists, as I said, the action that you need to do if you have the EdgeRater premium data is press this get latest data button, and that will automatically update them, but it's not automatic in terms of whenever there's new data available that it automatically updates. It's something that you have to manually do. For other symbol lists, if you go into the home menu, there is this symbol lists button here. You can select all of the lists and then press update list data. And that's the way of updating lists that are not tied to the EdgeRater data provider. That's the way you can update multiple lists at one time. If, for instance, you have multiple HDSI lists. So is there update for some symbol lists? So then we're talking about the securities that are contained within a list. The lists that have the square brackets around them are automatically updated during this process when you click on the get latest data. Then if there's new components of the CBOE weeklies, that will be downloaded into the list. and anything else that has a square bracket around it is curated and maintained by EdgeRater, and the contents of that will be updated. It's not always updated exactly when the change is made. For instance, when CBOE adds a new weekly option, it might take a week or two before it's reflected in the list here. Also, they can remove stocks from the weeklies list as well. So it might take a week or two before it's reflected here, but it will eventually be reflected. And then if you have your own list of stocks, obviously you're responsible for maintaining those as you would want to be. Okay. So the key is that lists with the square brackets around them, don't try and touch those on the hard drive. Don't try and add anything to those lists or delete stocks from the lists, because they will be updated by the system, and that could overwrite your changes. And the update list will take care, for the lists with the square brackets, the update will, it does remove symbols as well. It's a complete refresh of the list. So if symbols are no longer trading, they're removed from there. And if new symbols are added, they will be added to there. Okay. All right. I think we'll move on to running templates. So the first thing, when you run the program, the first thing you see actually is the templates area of the program. So templates is right here, and it's organized in it's organized such that the symbol list is on the left-hand side. The library is on the right-hand side. So a template library is essentially a library. It's all of the templates that are available in EdgeRater. Now, if you want to get a list of all of those templates, there's a little button here called Search Templates. If you click on that, you'll actually end up on the web page, the EdgeRater website, and you'll be looking at the complete list of templates, where you can just scroll down through to find templates. If you have a particular search term you're looking for, you could type that in. For instance, if you're looking for seasonality, season. Okay, now this list has been filtered to only seasonality. It's also got the categories on the left. So if you wanted to just look at stocks in the technical analysis of stocks and commodities task category, you click on that and they come up here. ETF trading with Bollinger Bands, for instance, Jeffrey Scott category, George Lee category. So they're all in here. But if you click on all, you'll see them all here, and you can do a search for the stock you're interested, the template you're interested in. If you want more information about the template, you click on the More Info button, and that should bring you to a page that has normally a picture of the report that's generated when you run the template, and a brief description of what the template does, and then any other information about that particular style of template or that particular template. Okay, and also an option for you to subscribe to the YouTube channel, which you should definitely do. And then any other videos that have been produced in the past could appear down there too. So that's a really good way to find out about templates. Clicking on the More Info button under the list of templates. As time goes on, then I produce more videos, and it's going to be a much more regular event. So subscribe to the YouTube channel to make sure you don't miss any of those. We'll be talking about templates and other aspects of EdgeRater as well. So, okay, so that's that. Now, okay, so there are categories of template. You have to click on a category in order to see the template on to the left of the category. So there's a an odd looking category at the very top called What's New. And it's basically just a list of every time there's a new template released or something's happened with the templates, it will appear in the What's New category under the month. So in June, you can see what happened was there was an update to the Morales and Catcher template. There was an update to the free parking template. In February, you can see that there was a new template called expected move by next options expiration. There was something happened to options data. And so this is a good way to find out what's happened in the program since you last were here, what you've missed and what you might want to check out. Then another important category is the favorites category. This is basically, this is where the templates that you use on a regular basis will appear. It's not automatically selecting the templates that you use on a regular basis. You have to just put a little star by the templates that you use. So if I'm using regularly seasonality, so I'm in the seasonal analysis category, all the templates that are in that category have appeared under templates here. And then seasonality now, I've clicked on that, okay? But it's, at the moment, the little star is gray. So I'm just gonna click on it to make it yellow. And now if I go back to the favorites category, seasonality now is in here. So this should really just be a list of things that you use on a regular basis, just to allow you quick access rather than always trying to find the template within the category. There is, well, you can see the list of categories in here. It doesn't expand that much. A lot of times, templates go into the hot topics category that contains probably the most templates. And typically, the templates that are in the hot topics category are templates that involve scanning criteria, specialized scanning criteria for sure, but scanning criteria where you can run through a stock's history and you can apply various technical criteria to the stocks, and it will show the results in the report of the template. So that, for instance, that's where the good, the bad, and the ugly template is. That's where you'll find the in-play template, the free parking template, and other templates like that. So in order to run a template, all you have to do is select it either from your favorites category or from any of the other categories. Select it so that it appears in the center of the screen. So I've selected the good, the bad, and the ugly. Choose a symbol list that you want to run against that template. I'm going to choose CBOE weeklies here. Choose a date for the run. Now, if you don't choose a date for the run, it's going to run on the latest data available in your symbol list, which in my case is July the 8th, which was Friday. But you could go back and run the report for any other historical day. And this is an extremely powerful feature to allow you to go back in history essentially and see what was coming up in the templates at any prior day. But without choosing a specific date, it's going to run using the latest date. So I'm going to hit run. And you can see always at the bottom left, there's a progress bar, just tells you how far along it is in crunching the numbers. And then the report should appear. The report is shown in the reports tab. So it's automatically changed now, transitioned from the templates tab to the reports tab. And for those who are keeping track, if I open up my reports folder, this is a folder on Windows. It's now got one report in here. It's called the good, bad, ugly report, because that's the template I just ran. And I could, if I wanted, open this up if I had Excel installed, which I don't on this machine, because it's just been set up. But you could actually open it up, click it and open it up in Excel. And perfectly valid thing to do. But essentially it will appear exactly like this. When it's open as a report in the reports tab in EdgeRater, then the charts are linked to these symbols. So every time I'm clicking on a row, the chart will update to show me the stock that is represented by that row. So for instance, if I'm looking at, right, so I can see the best performing stock on Friday here was CLVS, okay, with a 27.6% gain. So I've clicked on CLVS, my chart's updated to CLVS. I can expand the chart, zoom in a little bit so I can see what's going on. And we can see it's a very low price stock, and it had a move from the close of the prior day, which was 2.16, to the close of Friday, which is 2.76. So yeah, that's a 27.6% move in one day. But that's how you can very, very quickly scan through a list of stocks. This is one of the great benefits of having a desktop software program rather than an internet-based program, is that it's very fast to scan through. You probably will not be able to actually see this on the internet because the internet is not updating. As I'm running this on Zoom, that's not going to update fast enough to show you just how fast you can scan through these charts. And scanning through charts quickly is a great thing to be able to do. So, as any trader will tell you, that's very powerful. Okay, I want to talk a bit more about charts because the way that they're linked to templates is somewhat interesting. So I said already the symbols are linked to a report. And that's the case for most reports. You click on a row, it's going to update the chart to show that symbol. Some reports are also linked to a particular layout for the chart. So let's choose an example. Go back to templates and let me choose, let's choose quickly options analysis. We'll say expected move. This is just a quick one. I want to just to show you the way that the chart is configured for different reports. So I'm running this template. It's going to produce a report, which is going to appear in the, it's going to switch over to it, which it just did. And now you'll note that the chart has changed its layout. It's now got some moving averages. It's got some areas below the volume it's showing the expected move next versus the actual move. It's showing implied volatility and the days to expiration. And the reason it's showing it is because I'm clicking on cells from a report that has been configured to show those layouts. If I go back to my good, bad, ugly report and I click on a row there, this doesn't change the layout because this report has been configured as it doesn't have anything special configured for it. So it's going to leave the chart the way that the chart was. And so you're going to see those indicators from the other report. But let's choose another template that actually has a configured, a different configured layout. So maybe we'll go into hot topics and we could look at free parking. It's a good one. So I'll click on free parking. Okay, so free parking has got a different layout configured. It's got this moving average here, which is a 50-period moving average. It's got the DMI and the RSI. All right, so as I click through there, I'm looking at those indicators. If I go back to expected move and click on a symbol here, it's now going to show the layout configured for that report. Now, so I'll show you a quick way of organizing reports that's quite useful. If you drag a report and drop it, you'll notice there's a little window appears here where you can choose where you want to drop this report. I'm going to drop it at the bottom. So now I've got one report, the options expected move at the top area, and then free parking report in the lower area. Now watch what happens when I click on a symbol here. I'll click on Caterpillar up in expected move. All right, the chart has updated to show me the symbols, the indicators for this report, but also free parking has updated to bring Caterpillar to the very top of that list so that I can see how Caterpillar looks in the context of the free parking report. So that's quite a powerful feature. Now, sometimes you might want to click on something in one report, but not have the chart change its layout. You may have got your own special layout. So at the moment, I'm looking at the free parking layout over here. All right, you can tell, we'll just say free parking layout. I know it's that because I can see RSI 14 at the bottom. All right, now, if I click on the top report, it's going to update that to the options layout. So I'm going to click back down here, put it back down to the free parking layout. That's fine. Now, if I want to click on the top one, but not have it update, I can turn off this chart linking. See on the chart, there's a button which says link to template layout. I'm going to turn that off. All right, it's no longer linked to the template layout. So now I can click on anything in the expected move by next expiration, and the chart is not updated. That could be useful, particularly if you have your own special indicators over on the right-hand side. So I want to show how you can create your own chart. One sec. You see that? That's I'm a PC water bottle from Microsoft. There was originally the I'm a Mac advertisement from Apple, and Microsoft's response to that was I'm a PC. That's a good comeback, right? So how do you create your own chart layout? Okay. A useful feature in the chart, a useful thing to be able to do is get back to a basic chart with nothing on. And the one way that's good to do that is to press this single chart button up here. There's a one here called single chart, resets the chart to show only a single chart, nothing else on it. Are you sure you want to reset this? Yes. Okay, now I'm looking at a chart, doesn't have any indicators on. And so I'm free to add my own things to it. So I'll turn off linking to template layouts, because if I had that still turned on, I'll click over here and the chart would then update with the indicators for that report. So I don't want that, but I might want to add my own indicators on here. So click on chart scripts and you can look at system indicators. That's a lot of common technical indicators. If it's an indicator that belongs in a sub area at the bottom of the chart, you can double click on that indicator. And if it belongs as an overlay, you can drag it over to the chart. So for instance, the Arun oscillator is a sub indicator. I'll double click on the Arun. All right, that appears down here. I'll double click on the Arun indicator. So now I've got two things going on there. I know that the area Bollinger Bands is something you should put as an overlay. So I'll drag area Bollinger Bands over here. And now this chart, let's say this is something that I want to save, so I can always go back to this. Then what I'll do is I'll click on Save Chart Layout, and I'll call it my fave chart. And I'll click OK. So I can always go back to this. So if for instance, I've turned on linking to template layout. So now if I click over here, it's going to update this layout to be the layout for the report. And my layout that I just created has gone. And I don't want to have to drag those indicators back on to see my layout again. So what I can do is go to chart layouts and go down to, so there's some layouts that come with the system. And then there's layouts called My Layouts. And under My Layouts, you'll find anything you've saved as a layout. So you see here under My Layouts, I've got my saved layout, my fave layout. If I click on that, I'm going to get back to my layout with the area Bollinger Bands and the Arun indicator and oscillator. And you've got others on here too, so you can just quickly select any of these layouts. But yeah, so that's a way that the indicators technical analysis, indicators, and layouts for charts work. Another important thing here is that the chart is actually, I'm only showing one chart at the moment, but you might want to have a chart above and a chart below. So you can say, do a weekly, daily stacked chart. So I've clicked over here. There's this little drop down under chart arrangements. Clicked over there, and I'm going to click on weekly, daily stacked. I double clicked it. Okay. No indicators on that. It's just a default layout. So I could apply the layouts individually to these charts. I could say chart layouts, come down and select my layouts for that one. Maybe in the daily layout, I'll put a squeeze layout on, something like that. So now you've got a weekly chart up here and a daily chart down here. In fact, this weekly chart, what I have to do is select week over here. The idea is it can be a weekly and a daily layout. You make sure you've selected at the bottom of the screen on the right-hand side, you've got day, week, month, and year. Select week, so you've got a weekly layout. Yeah. And in the bottom one, select day, so you've got a daily layout. You'll find that that is quite a useful thing to do. As then let's, for instance, go to, and I'll turn off chart linking for all of these. And then if I select something from the report, the chart is updated. So it's updated for CRSP. I can immediately see the weekly moves in CRSP. And then on a finer grain detail down here, I can see the daily moves. So it gives you some good context to have the weekly and daily together. And you can go further than that. You can have a monthly, weekly, and daily. And it really just depends on the amount of real estate you have as to how many of those charts you'd want to have. Personally, I tend to, and this is just my own preference, I tend to have only one chart view up. And then what I do with my one chart is I'll just switch over to weekly and daily as needed. So for instance, I have my chart view here. And then if I want to look at, I'm looking at daily. If I want to look at weekly, I'll just click on the weekly button down here. But others prefer to have weekly and daily stacked or side by side. It's really configurable. Okay. So that's some good information about charts. The other thing we should say is, how do you configure an indicator? So let's go back to a single chart view with nothing applied to it. And what we could also do is just save this layout. It's got nothing applied to it, rather than having to go one all the time. It's actually quite convenient, but instead of doing that, you might just say, this is my clean layout. Click OK. And now you have another option over here under my layouts. I've got the clean layout, so I can just choose that instead. Okay, so how do you change the indicator parameters? Let's add what I'm going to do here is show you a way to quickly find an indicator. So select any row in the chart scripts, press your Control F for find, and then type in the search term you're looking for. So if I'm looking for a moving average, I'm going to type MOVING, and all moving averages are coming up here. Simple moving average is this one. I'm just going to drag this over to the chart area. But what I want to do is have this be, currently this is a 12-period moving average. I want to make this a 50-period moving average. And the way I do that is by clicking the formula parameters over here. And you see it's currently 12. If I change it to 50, it immediately springs to a 50-period moving average. So it's quite nice and fast. Make it a 200-period moving average. We see it's down there. Make it a 10-period. So there. If you had more than one moving average on there, then you get more than one opportunity over here to change those parameters. So I could make one a 10, and I could make one of them a 50. Okay, so I've got a 10 and a 50 period simple moving average over here. Why don't I save that? I'll call it MA 10 and 50. Click OK. So now that's down here. So I'll go from my clean layout back to my 10 and my 50. And up to my fave chart as well. Okay, so that's how to do that. Okay, so the question, how do I open a chart independent of a report and change symbols? Okay. The best way to do that is if you've just run the program, you'll end up you'll come into the templates tab, click over to the reports viewer. You'll see the chart in reports viewer, but you won't see any reports there. And what you can do there is click on symbols, choose the symbol list that contains your symbol, and then just come down to the symbol. Again, in the symbols list, you can do a Control F to find a symbol. So if I'm looking for spy, for instance, I can find it by Control F. Another way to do that is if you don't, if you're just on the chart itself, you can press the space bar and type in your symbol. In uppercase, that's one thing you should remember is to use uppercase for your symbols. And that's just a fast way of getting to the symbol from the list, MSFT. It's going from the current symbol list, but you could choose one of the options on this dialog box is to go out to the internet and fetch it from Yahoo end of day site. That's useful if there's a symbol that is not in the database, but you know it's on Yahoo. You could get it from Yahoo, just to allow you to look at the chart. I must say I never do that, because all of the symbols I have are all in lists, my lists that I have that I'm interested in. Okay, so that's some good. Yep, you're welcome. That's some good information about charting. We looked at reports, charting. The other thing, the last thing I wanted to, actually there's a couple of things I wanted to do. First off, let's say the favorites list is a very useful feature. So you've run a report, you've run a template, sorry, generated a report, and after looking through the report, you found something that you like the look of. All right, here, something is happening with this stock, yes? FFIE. It's had a big move up over the last 4 or 5 days. That could be interesting. Should I pay attention to this? Do I need to watch it? I'd like to keep it on my radar. So how can I do that? Well, what I can do is just add it to my favorites. It's added to my favorites now. Now, where is it added? If you open up favorites, it just happens to be a separate XLSX file called favorites watch list. It does allow me to type in a comment here too. So I could type in watch this, for instance. Now, anytime I come back to my favorites list, it's going to bring up that stock when I click on it, just like any other report. I've clicked on this row, it's bringing up FFIE. It's already there, but let me go back. Let me choose a different one from down here. So GSAT, now I'll go back up here to FFIE. Okay. Also, this yellow annotations button is useful to have turned on, because when I'm showing annotations, it's going to show me whatever comment I had in my comments area. So it's going to point to the bar where the comment was made. So as you look at this at some point in the future, the watch this annotation is always going to be pointing to the bar that you made that observation that you wanted to watch it. So you'll come back at some point in the future and you'll see a watch this will be over here somewhere, and it might even contain information about why you wanted to watch it. The other thing the watch list automatically stores is where the source of that information. So that information came from the expected move template. So that gives you another clue as to why you're watching it. So it came from there. And also, whatever indicators you had on the chart at the time that you hit the button to add it to your favorites will come back. So to prove that, we can go to down here to the free parking layout. And then if I click back over here at my favorites watch list, okay, it's bringing back, it turns out to be the options expected move layout, because that was what was showing when I clicked on add to favorites. So that's adding stocks to the favorites list. And getting to the end of time. So one then last thing, I think we've covered quite a lot. I think it's been, I think it's been quite a lot of information. And we might talk about this. We probably will talk about this next time, because next time is all about exploring more templates to find stocks meeting defined criteria. And in there, I definitely will be talking about how to sort and filter reports. But in order for you to have fun playing around with the program until next time, then just remember, whenever you click on a heading, a header row, the report will filter by that row. Yeah, so, oh, sorry, it will sort by that row. So I've clicked on implied volatility rank here. It's sorted now by implied volatility rank. Click it again, it's done a reverse sort. And if there's particular parameters I'm interested in only, so I don't want to see everything in here, I can do filtering. So if I wanted to see, for instance, here in this free parking template, I'm only looking for stocks that have, say, an ADX trend of strong trend up, then these buttons are your filtering buttons, these little drop downs. So I can select strong trend up only. And then this is my list of strong trend up stocks. If I want strong trend up with moving average trend up, so I can filter that one too. Now I've got a list of strong trends moving average, but I don't want them to be overbought. I'd prefer them to be maybe strong. So I could select strong only here. Okay, so now I've got quite a short list of stocks. What do they look like? So strong trend up. Okay, so now you've filtered down to a much smaller list. So sorting and filtering are very important, useful ways of using reports. So I think I covered everything I wanted to. This is being recorded, Larry. Yes, I think that would be helpful. Was that? Yeah, I think that's it. Any questions on that? Was that useful? Did you find that that was a useful session? Be interested to know your feedback on there. If there's anything I didn't cover that you want to cover, then let me know by either email, because we can cover it next week, or you can quickly type it in the chat and I could answer now. You're welcome, everybody. Yeah, that's covering how to create your indicators is session 3, running trade simulations to backtest your own trade ideas. Session 3 will be not next weekend, but the weekend after. Okay, very good. Yeah, you're welcome. Now, if anybody has the program and you find that when you press get latest data, it says your subscription to the premium data has expired, it will give you an option to sign up for premium data. So if you do that, you will get a couple of bonus months added at this point in time. So, so I'll be looking out for anybody signing up to renew their premium data, and I'll make sure that that's a couple of bonus months go on as well. So that's should be helpful. Can you automate data downloads? At the moment, no. It's a one-shot deal that you have to press the button to do it. It's reasonably fast. It depends. I guess it does depend on your internet connection, but with a decent, most people these days, I think, have a decent connection. It does have to download a file which is 300 megabytes, something like that, every day. And at the moment, there's no way to have it set up to automatically do that, say in the evening when you're asleep or something like that. That's something that I should monitor to see how many requests there are for that. A lot of people, I think that a lot of people use the program maybe not every day. So downloading every night, can also have its problems, because then you're downloading data that you don't actually need. But yeah, I can see that it would be a useful thing to do. There is no API there's no API to download the data. It really is a manual press the button and some internal stuff happens. Obviously, it goes out to the internet to download the data. There's a set of things that need to happen in order. There's no defined there's no consistent API to let that happen. As I say, at the moment. But I am always improving the program and adding things, adding new features. So I do have lists of things that people are interested in. All right, that's good. Okay, that's it. Thanks, everybody. And we'll catch you next weekend. Have a good one. Bye for now.